doing that. Instead of coming back upstairs and being like, Kyra, I am so sorry for everything that has transpired, because at this point he doesn't know that I know that they've kissed, right? Instead of doing that, he proceeds to go home with her and stays the night at her house, after I had flown to see him, because he asked me to for New Year's Eve.
Damn.
Wait.
This cat.
Back, Motivation Nation. It is your host, Al Gordon, and here we are back for another one. Look, if you guys can do me a favor, hit that hype button. It really helps the channel as we're growing. I do appreciate each and every one of you all that are hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, and dropping a comment. I really do appreciate it. I try to respond to all of the comments, but sometimes I can't get to all of them. So if I don't get to yours, please don't feel offended. I will eventually get there. But anyway, let's get off into this nonsense, y'all. Come on, we're going to do what we do best.
This is the most embarrassing story I've ever told on the internet, but I'm going to tell you guys why it is very important that you are never delusional when it comes to your relationship, and why you should always believe somebody the very first time that they tell you who they are. About a year ago on New Year's Eve, I was talking to a man, and we had known each other for a very long time, but we had just recently started, seriously talking. We had gotten pretty serious pretty fast, which in hindsight, that's kind of a red flag, but at the time, we had just been friends for a really long time, so to me, I didn't think anything of it. Anyways, New Year's Eve, I go visit this man, and we've been sitting and talking about how much we like each other, and we were in love, and this is endgame, this is so crazy, we've been sitting in each other's houses, talking about.
Hold on a second, ma'am. You said y'all were friends for a very long time. It sounds to me like you guys got very serious, very slow, not that fast. I mean, you know him for a while. I get it. You're saying you got serious fast because once y'all started talking, it went fast, but you've been knowing him for a long time. So that's really not that fast. But anyway, I just had to point that out. Let's let her go.
Sizes, doing all the things. There was already that layer of familiarity and comfortability, and then also it was the first time in a relationship where I didn't feel like I had to tell him how to treat me. He just knew how to do it and did it well.
You've been knowing him a while.
We're friends. I'm not really drinking. Everybody else is. We kiss when the ball drops. Everything's going fine, and then all of a sudden this girl appears and she starts flirting with him. At first he was shutting it down very much so. Anytime she would kind of lean on him or whatever, he would look at her, push it away, lean towards me, whatever. It was very obvious we were there together. You think eventually she would get the hint, okay, these two are together. He obviously doesn't want me flirting with him, but she was drunk, whatever. I don't know this girl, so I'm just whatever. I'm more so paying attention to is the fact that he's not verbally shutting it down. He's pushing it off, but he's not saying, hey, stop, this is my girl that I literally just sat and told that, we're going to get married and all these things. I'm getting pissed, naturally. One, why is this girl still around? And two, why are you not shutting it down, firmly? Time goes on, she's getting more and more flirty, and he's not shutting it down nearly as much as he was at the beginning. So naturally, I am, fuming at this point. And I'm like, you know what? I want to leave. I want to go home. He was like, Kyra, I'm not really ready to go. Give it a few more minutes, whatever. Proceeds to tell me that I have been acting like I hate him and is basically annoyed with me because I've been acting like I hate him because this girl has been flirting with him and he hasn't been shutting it down. And it's I don't really want to go home. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm thinking I'm calling his bluff. No way he's going to let me walk out of this bar and not follow me. He let me walk out of the bar and he did not follow me. Okay, whatever. So I call the Uber and it's
So let me stop right there. Hang on a second. Because you're talking extremely fast. And you're saying a whole lot of stuff, and you're trying to make me believe that you don't already know this guy, who this guy really is. You've known him for a long enough time where you should already know this person's tendencies and who he is and the way that he behaves. Because in the course of you knowing him, y'all have had a bunch of different conversations, and you already know what kind of guy you're dealing with. And don't ever decide to bluff unless you're prepared to have your bluff called. So you decided to walk out thinking he was going to chase you and he didn't chase you. That's just juvenile and stupid within itself. Well, now you're outside looking stupid. Let's let her continue from this point.
40 minutes. At that point, I could have just walked back to my house in Kentucky. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just go back inside. Whatever. I go back inside. Me and the girl are kissing. Right. They're kissing. They're kissing on the lips. Making out tongue. I'm just going to his house after this because I have nowhere else to stay because I don't really know anybody else in this city. Right. But as I'm sitting outside waiting on him to reappear, I see them walk out the bar together, which is great. And they proceed to walk down the street. So of course me, I'm like, well, I have to go to your house. I could get a hotel. It's New Year's Eve. People are drunk. I'm scared. I'm in an unfamiliar city. I know I was not making the best decisions, but please. So I proceed to run after him and I'm like, hey, where the fuck are you going? Because I'm supposed to be going to your house. That's where all my stuff is. I'm also supposed to be going to your house with you. So long story short, this girl's laughing in my face. She thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. So do her friends. I get this man to go back to his house. Because at this point, I'm like, I'm leaving. I can't get on the flight tonight. It's middle of the night. It's 4 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve. There's nothing I can do to fix this right now. And I'm somebody who, when there's conflict, I really want to talk about it. So I could not leave without talking about it. Which again, in hindsight, I know. But that is what I did. So I go back to his house. I get in the bed and I'm like, you know what? We're going to talk about this tomorrow when you are not the drunkest I've ever seen anybody in my entire life. Because you probably won't even remember a lot of this. Imagine my surprise when this bitch shows up to his house. This man proceeds to go downstairs and sits and talks to her. I can't go downstairs because I'm the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my entire life. He sits and he talks to them for a good hour. I'm looking at Uber prices. They're all like $200 something.
Wait a second. Hold on. Here you go fast talking us again. You're trying to make us believe a story. I'm not even sure if this story is real at this point. Like, because none of this is actually making sense. And in fact, if this is a real story, you've got to be one of the craziest people I've seen do a story time, because you're now at a man's house that that you said he was just talking about marrying you. You guys are madly in love. Everything moved very fast, and then you threatened to leave. He didn't chase you. You go back in. He's kissing another woman, and he's walking down the street, and you practically have to beg him to allow him to let you stay when the plan was for you to stay because you're in from out of town. And now said woman who was laughing in your face when you chased them both down as they were walking off into the sunset is now in his apartment, and you're upstairs in the bed, and you're not going to go downstairs because what again? And this is supposed to be your boyfriend that you're dating? Yeah, I don't know. Let's let her go on. And if I were to call an Uber, I would have to walk down the stairs and walk past them, which is, again, I'm not doing that. Instead of coming back upstairs and being like, Kyra, I am so sorry for everything that has transpired, because at this point, he doesn't know that I know that they've kissed, right? Instead of doing that, he proceeds to go home with her and stays the night at her house, after I had flown to see him, because he asked me to for New Year's Eve. Right. In that moment, instead of being like, you know what? This is the most embarrassing, ridiculous, fucked up, disrespectful thing that anybody has ever done to me, and hopefully will ever do to me in my entire life. I can't imagine getting worse than that. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home. I decided I was going to stay. I stayed at this man's house with his dog, and I was like, I'm going to wait until he comes home so we can talk about this, because there has to be an explanation for this. There has to be. Okay, so listen, man. Look, all right. This story's going too far, because there's obviously more to this story that she's not telling us, because none of this makes any sense. Anybody that's rational, anybody that's alive, wouldn't wouldn't tolerate this and wouldn't deal with this. This man has taken you into a level of disrespect that I have never even seen in a Tyler Perry movie. Okay, so you're hanging around after the man left you at his apartment with his dog, and he has gone and had a rendezvous with a complete stranger that you say you don't know who this lady is, and you're waiting for him when he comes back. Hey, ma'am, go ahead and tell us what's really going on here. Go ahead and tell us what's really going on, because it's more to the story. It's way more to this story. I believe it involves money. It involves something. It's something that man is doing for you or giving you that you don't feel you can get anyone else. And I feel like it has to do more so with a monetary gain more than anything, because nobody with any no rational person with any sense would tolerate or deal with something like this, unless this guy was paying your bills or he was doing something for you that you obviously can't do on your own and your parents can't do it for you. So that's why you're willing to tolerate this type of nonsense. But anyway, if in fact this story is real, but let's let her finish, because this is getting so far out there that I can't even, it's hard to even react to this, because this is too far-fetched for me. There was no explanation, and I proceeded to go back to this man a few months later just for him to do the same exact thing, if not maybe a little bit worse. I'm that story back, and I'm sure listening to it, there are multiple times where I should have said, this is absolutely ridiculous, and gone home. But instead, I was so desperate and so hurt that I was like, there has to be some sort of explanation for this. Like, there's just no way you can just do this to somebody that you're in love with. There is a way. And they will. Men will do things like that, and they do not care. I promise you, they do not care. Nor did that girl care, which is a whole other thing. When it comes to a relationship, and when it comes to a man, delusion has no place. When somebody shows you who they are, believe that whatever you are seeing is exactly what it is. Whatever you're sitting and overthinking is exactly what it is. There is no good reason that I can sit and tell you multiple other stories from that same exact person because I continue to go back to them. There's no reason other than the fact that I was delusional. I was being fed a lot of bullshit and I was believing it, all because I was desperate and I was in love. Long story short, my friends, focus on yourself. Don't listen to a man. And yeah.
I have many other story times, but I will not be sharing them today. So goodbye. This is the most.
Yeah, I don't think you need to share any more story times. You said a key word there. You were desperate. So you were desperate. That now that makes sense. You were desperate, which makes you do things that become irrational and completely illogical. Now, what you were desperate for, I don't know. You didn't tell us that part. But this guy, I don't. He didn't lie to you. It seems to me like he did everything right there in front of your face and you chose to deal with it. So I don't know if that's delusion or if that's just flat out stupidity, but it sounds more so like you said, desperation. So you'll tolerate whatever he's dishing because you were desperate at that particular point in time in your life. So you had to put up with whatever he gave you. And he was willing to, because you were desperate, he was willing to push this thing all the way to the edge and see how far he can go and how much he could humiliate you before you finally had had enough. And it seemed like you allowed him to humiliate you to a point where it messed with your self-esteem. And I'm gonna say this about that, man. Don't put yourself in a position of desperation where you just have to tolerate anything from anyone. So if this is my daughter and I have to give her advice, don't put yourself in this position because like he just played with you and tried to make you look stupid, but you put yourself in a desperate situation like that with somebody else. This could fare far worse than a story time like this, you know? And a lot of bad things have happened to people because they were desperate. Don't put yourself in a desperate situation and then go and try to depend on a man or a man try to depend on a woman because then they can do things to you that you may or may not be able to undo. And then you end up having a regret that you probably shouldn't have had. But anyway, y'all saw what I saw. You guys heard what I heard. It's time for you guys to jump down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this story because I don't know if it's even a real story. But if it is, y'all heard it. Jump down. Let me know. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Out.